We have started to learn about Shmitas Kesafim, about the release of debts that the Shmita year creates. Last time we looked at the psukim that this is based on and the commentary of Rashi. This time I would like to look at a few other commentaries. I will assume you remember the psukim, or if not, you will quickly pause this video and go back and look at them. So the first commentary I want to look at is one comment of the Rashbam. The Rashbam was Rashi's grandson, and Rashi appointed him as his successor as Rosh Yeshiva in Troyes. His younger brother, almost 30 years younger, was Rabbeinu Tam. And so the Rashbam disagreed with Rashi both on how he wrote his commentary on Chumash and how he wrote his commentary on Shas. He felt the commentary on Chumash was too long and the commentary on Shas was too short. So Rashi understood when it says Ki lo yachtal Avion mikirab haaretz, that there will never cease to be poor in the land. He says if you do the will of God, the poor will be among the non-Jews. If you do the will of God, the poor will be. If you don't do the will of God, the poor will be among Jews. So the Rashbam doesn't understand it the same way. So he says, Ki lo yachtal Avion mikirab haaretz. He's quoting the pasuk that there will never cease to be poor in the land. Ki adam ein tzaddik ba'aretz asher ya'ase tov v'lo yachta. He's quoting a pasuk in Mishlei, that there's no such thing as a man who is a tzaddik and never sins. It is the nature of a human being, Shlomo HaMelech says in Mishlei, that we sin. Occasionally, in some way, somehow, people always sin. There's no such thing as a person that never sins. And therefore, because people sin, therefore there will also be poor. It can be viewed in many ways, meaning there can be poor as a punishment to the poor, but he's not saying that at all here, so that will atone for their sins. Or it could be that they're poor that allows me to give tzedakah and fix one of my own sins. That's the Rashbam. The Chizkuni was from 13th century Provence. There is another person from 13th century Provence that is also the Chizkuni, who wrote a commentary on Midrashim that was in Kisayad in manuscripts for a long time and only recently been printed. This is the Chizkuni on Chumash, Hizkiah ben Manoach. And he learns as follows: As achiך תשמט ידך, that from your brethren the debt will be released. V'lo hamosar שטרותיו לבייסטן, and not the one that gives his debts over to the Beistin. מכאן אמרו, from here they said, Hillel הזקן hiskin פרוסבול, מפני תיקון העולם. Hillel the elder established the prudsbol to repair the world. שראה שנמנעו מלהמנוס זה, he saw that people were refraining from giving loans to each other. V'avru al mas shekaseh b'sor, and it transgressed what it says in the Torah that you will not be a lowlife and not lend to your brother when he needs it. And then he says, V'zehu gufo shel prudsbol, and this is the basis of the prudsbol. Mosarni lechem ploni uploni da'yadayim shebumkom ploni. I give over to you, and you, the judges, in such and such a place. Kol chov sheyesh li, all the debts that I have. Shekvenu kol zman she'irtzeh, so that I can collect it whenever I want. V'yadanim va'edim chosmim lamata, and either the judges or the witnesses sign below. V'shuv ein Shmita mishmetis halvaso, and then the Shmita does not annul his debt. Shari ki'ilu gavu beistin, because it's if the beistin already collected that chovo shall say this debt. V'lo karinan bei lo yigosh, and therefore he is not pressing him. He's already been pressed before this time has come. It's already been collected. So this is interesting because there is a debate in the Gemara as to what it means Hillel hiskin prudsbol. It could mean that because Shmita is rabbinic, therefore Hillel was enabled to create this mechanism of prudsbol. The other way of understanding it, which is clearly the way the Chizkuni is that within the basic system of Shmita, if I give my debt to the Beis Din, then I can always collect it because it's not a personal debt, it's a debt owed to the court. And therefore, because of this possibility, and Hillel saw that people were not giving loans before the Shmita year, Hillel established that he made it a tekana that people should make a purusbol. It always existed. It was something people could do, but he said people should do it. And among many communities, because of this understanding, because of the Chizkioni's understanding, along with others, therefore, everyone makes a purusbol whether someone owes them money or not. So, the Bechor Shor is the next commentary I want to look at. He was Rav Yosef ben Yitzhak from Orleans. He was one of the Balei Tosfos, and he was a Talmid of Rabbeinu Tam. First pasuk he writes about V'asher yeh lacha as achicha, what you have in your brother. Prat l'mosar Shterothiv lebeistin. He's saying the same pashat, even though the Chizkuni was from southern France, which is not the same rabbinic area, not the same rabbinic school, and the Bechor Shor is from the north. They both are saying the same thing, that if you give your debt over to a beis din, it's not included in the absolution of debts that occurs on purusbol. She'ein lo al achiv klum. He doesn't have anything against his brethren, ela beis din, that the court does. Uprat lemalve sheyesh lo mashkon, and also if I took and held collateral. Now this is different than the way we do collateral today. In the Bible and the Talmud, it's more like a pawn shop where someone brings me an object and I hold that object until he repays the loan. It's not that I can seize his house or his car, whatever it is, which is collateralized loan. That's not what this is. I'm holding it. Shein lo biyad achiv klum, because he doesn't have anything in his friend's hand anyway, meaning I'm holding the object of the debt. I haven't really given anything. It's a conditional sale, let's say. Ki biglal hadavar hazeh, that God has given you your wealth so that you will give loans. Rabbi Seinu darshu ki amalim einav min hatzdaka. Our rabbis learned that the one that hides his eyes from charity, ka'oved avodah zarah, this is if he worshipped idols. Ksiv hacha, it says here, pen ye devar im levcha b'lial, lest there be some low-life thought in your heart. The Ksiv Hasam, and it says over there about Ir Hanidachas, the city that has to be destroyed because it goes to worship idols. Yatsu anashim b'nei Bilial mikirbecha v'yadichu, that people in your midst that are low life Bilial come out and they seduce the city to idols. Ki lo yachdal Avion, because there will never cease to be the poor. Ki Zekmo Dilma. This is like perhaps. Shema lo yachdal Avion mikrab Haaretz. Perhaps there will never cease to be poor in the land. Shelo tachshiru ma'aseichem b'kol chatzorach, because you will not completely fix your deeds as much as you should. V'lechen anochi mitzavcha es hadavar hazeh. Therefore, I have to command you to do this. Meaning, there should not have to be a mitzvah to give charity. It should be natural within a person's being that if he sees someone in need, he helps them. But because many people don't do this, therefore God had to make it a mitzvah. Shterachem avionim, that you should have compassion on the desolate, v'tiftach yadcha, and you should open your hand. Meaning, there is this Protestant work ethic that if you are a good person, God will reward you with money. That's not what we're saying. A person can be poor through no fault of their own. And therefore, the people that are more lucky, let us say, they have to open their hands to help the others. The Ramban, 1300s in Spain, and then later in Eretz Yisrael, one of the most famous of the middle-aged rabbis, says, "Ve'afshar lomar ki ma she'amru b'roseinu miketz sheva shanim taseh shmita." When it says at the end of 7 years you will make the Shmita, shein mishpet as Kesafim ela b'sofa, that the release from the debts only comes at the end. Shu midrash mipnei shelo amar hashana hashvis say Shmita. It doesn't say in the 7th year you'll make a Shmita. It says at the end of the 7th year. Yirmoz ki besov hashava tasei Shmita. At the end of the 7th you will make the Shmita. Yoser min hatchila, more than at the beginning. For etzonam b'keitzazei, and they want it to be this end. Chutz minu, meaning other than it. V'yechol adam litboa chovo b'yoma achron shel shnas Shmita. A person is allowed to ask for his debt back on the last day of the Shmita year. V'lo tishmet ad halayla, and it is not released until the evening, meaning the cusp between the last day of Elul and the first day of Rosh Hashanah. Sheken metzinu b'tosefta, this is what it says in the Tosefta on Shmita, on Shvis. Shekosim provosbol erev Rosh Hashanah shel motzi Shvis. We write the provosbol at the eve of the new year at the end of the Shmita. Rabbeinu Bechaye was either a nephew or a cousin of the Ramban. It's not clear anymore, so they're approximately the same time both in Spain. Nason titinlo, you will clearly give to him. Inyan hakefa, why is it doubled over? Rashi says you give to him and you give to him again, right? Even if it didn't help the first time, so you have to try and help him again. Rabbeinu Bechaye understands differently. Lomar, this is to say, im titon Yosef HaKadosh Baruch Hu al mamoncha v'tachzor v'titein. If you give charity to someone, God will add to your money. He will give it to you, and then you will give it again, because you will have more money than you started out with, and therefore you will have the ability, because you gave tzedakah, you will have the ability to give tzedakah once again. These are the basic commentaries that I wanted to bring out at the beginning. Some of these ideas we will come back to. I may or may not mention that we already saw them in the commentaries, but if you keep them in mind, you will see several times that these ideas will come up. Everyone should have a wonderful day.